A coker unit is where the leftover crude in the refinery goes to. It's basically the byproducts of all of their processes and applications. And to reduce waste, they put it into a large drum that's essentially 200 feet tall. This byproduct goes into the drum. They then make other things such as carbon black and then some other fuel that other consumers use. Our customer had a 12-stage BB5 decoking pump that they were currently using in their process. This pump required a complete overhaul. It had been in service for several thousand hours, and it was just a normal wear and tear. Basically every wearable component had to be remanufactured. All of the components had to go up into a machine, all impellers down to the barrel. So it was a normal, 6 to 8 week process. The pump has a redundant spare, and throughout the cold spill that we had, a lot of the lines inside of the coker unit froze up. They had some malfunctions in their gauge equipment. All of their instrumentation basically was malfunctioning, and they didn't know it. They deadheaded the pump for an extended period of time on the spare. This was the perfect storm for the refinery. Whenever they go down, there's astronomical expenses associated with this, with the rental costs to still run the coker unit, because they have to now bring in a separate rental pump, as well as just the production delays that go along with a problem of this magnitude. So all of a sudden, the routine repair goes into an emergency status. So whenever we started this project, the standard repair was going to be probably 6 to 8 weeks. Whenever the second pump failed, everything went into a crisis mode, and we knew that we didn't have much time to work with. Upon talking to the refinery, I got their timeline of how long they could have the rental pump in there, and we decided to try to shorten the lead time down to 2 weeks, which is unheard of. So one of the reasons that Hydro was so successful with this project and able to expedite the timeline substantially was we utilized all of our resources at hand. We have shops, 3 of them down in the Houston area, and that's where actually our Part Solutions group is. And used those guys for some extra machine work, as well as relying on them for the parts that were needed for this that had to be recast. We've also called all of our vendors. We were able to expedite the process and cut off weeks of the lead time, almost a month of what would have been the standard lead time. Hydro's biggest benefit to the customer was our breadth of knowledge. We were able to look at the repair and know in what sequence we could expedite the individual processes and the individual components to give an overall better delivery. While we had everything apart and actually had both pumps tore apart at the same time, we wanted to reverse engineer some of the components and make sure that we weren't overlooking anything, as well as bringing other engineering into the mix to make sure that it was the strongest shaft possible. Historically, this pump has never had a good amount of data collection on it. Whenever it was installed, the technology just wasn't there, and it was uncommon to put a lot of funds into something in this application. So Hydro has been working with the refinery now, and we're now going to install some of our remote condition monitoring because it doesn't interfere with any of their existing equipment. And our guys can utilize the data that we collect at a moment's notice. So we're trying to prevent anything in the future from failing and being preventative instead of just reactive. Hydro set ourselves apart and we're able to be a strategic resource for the customer instead of just a repair shop.